How do you get your bounce?
I use Bounce Outdoor Fresh Sheets because fresher is better. Everyone knows that. I'll tell you what, I'm just crazy about freshness.
How do you get your bounce?
Fresh.
Just yards away from the site of the explosion was a medical tent with a full complement of doctors and nurses who were there at the Boston Marathon, volunteering to help with runners. And as the bombs went off, they rushed out into danger to tend to the wounded. I sat down with Dr. Christina Hernon, an emergency room physician from UMass Memorial Healthcare. She's just one of the heroic doctors and nurses who ran out to help.
We heard and felt the first noise and then the second noise. The room became very quiet.
Did you have any idea what it was?
I didn't. I knew I had never heard or felt anything like that before, and I definitely felt it throughout my whole body. And after the first one, my mind was racing with, did something backfire? Did something fall? Was there some kind of gas explosion? What happened? And after the second one, I found myself thinking of a colleague of mine that was in the Baghdad ER, and his description of being in a place providing medical care and hearing loud noises outside and wondering how close they were. And I found myself actually having that thought.
People just yelling, we need doctors outside, we need nurses outside.
Yeah, we need people, we need doctors, we need nurses. Any available person, please come to the finish line to help. And people did, not knowing what they were walking into, which
they ran right into
amazes me. They did.
Into the
they
danger.
Did, and
did you go or did you stay? Or
I went.
What did you see?
People being brought in wheelchairs or being carried or being assisted in walking with lots of blood on the face.
Who was the first patient?
It was everybody. It felt like everybody was my patient.
Were there children?
I only saw one child in a wheelchair leaving the scene that had signs of heat scorching the hair on his head. I think an arm injury, I'm not sure. I think it was an arm injury. But mostly I remember just the look on his face. His eyes were very empty and more of a stare. I didn't really see fear or sadness. I just saw empty and confused.
You're an emergency room physician, so you're used to seeing people in desperate times. But I imagine this must have been the worst thing you've ever seen.
The number of people that really this mass casualty incident that this was, I've never been involved in anything like that.
There's nothing lucky about this incident, but I suppose it could have been a lot worse if there weren't a whole bunch of physicians and nurses and residents just yards away from the incident.
That's amazing. That part is amazing. Every single patient there, as vulnerable and injured as they were, had at their side a doctor or a nurse or a medical student or an athletic training student, all these volunteers who wanted to be nowhere else other than at the side of that injured, vulnerable patient.
Dr. Christina Hernon has volunteered at 7 Boston marathons. She told us this year they were staffed with even more doctors and nurses and other medical personnel than usual because last year's race was so hot, a move that may have saved many lives at this year's race.